We turn our gaze back to a panel session with Blake. Joining Blake will be Morgan Linton and Richard Patey. I have had the pleasure of meeting Morgan a few blocks away from the house here in Berkeley. He is a Bay Area native and a co-founder at Bold Metrics. Morgan leverages the power of AI to help some of the world's largest brands unlock the power of body data. Previously, he was at Sonos. He was an angel investor at Gridewise, Self Inc., Metasas, which was acquired by Flexera, Sandbox Commerce, and more. Morgan believes that AR and VR, augmented reality VR, will change our world and get rid of today's dependency on screens, which I think is a bold forecast. In a parallel universe, Morgan's blog has become one of the most read blogs in the domain name space, and a popular destination in the startup and venture capital world. Richard, who is out of the UK, has moved from investing in websites to investing in Web3 communities. He is a contributor to Forefront Market, which is a social token aggregator, a member of Bankless DAO, and has gone far down the NFT rabbit hole. He sees the trend for Web2 businesses to become Web3 communities, creating their own governance token and NFTs for access and voting within decentralized autonomous organizations. Super bold look at the future. I will now hand it off to you two and to Blake. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. Haga was the energy from Ramon, Ray. Really appreciate that. Awesome insights. Hope everyone's feeling up and about. This is our last session of the day. We've been going for whatever it is, 5 or 6 hours, different times all over the world. But for me, it is 6:38 a.m. I've had a lot of coffee to get me through since whatever it is, team, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. But anyway, we're going strong. Morgan and Richard are both extraordinarily knowledgeable. We're going to have an awesome chat today about NFTs, about Web3, and get some very, very unique perspectives. Morgan, Richard, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. So let's just start with the basic question, get people some insights. Really burgeoning space, this Web3 concept, many people won't have even heard of that. So let's just talk a little bit about what that means firstly, and then how you got into the space, because I guess we're all just dipping our toes in the water right now. So what is Web3 and where are you at individually? Maybe Morgan, just kick us off.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Web3, the term gets thrown around a lot, and there's a bunch of different ways to define it, but kind of at a high level, I think, and I was actually just looking at some of the stuff that Richard's done around communities, but it's really like a different way of interacting on the web. And you can look at it as like NFTs connecting us through, things that we have in our wallet, allowing us to access different sites or gated communities. You can also look at it as a way that we can connect through things like Discord. But I really think it's just a different way of us as people interacting over the internet. And I think there's going to be a confluence of that with the metaverse in a lot of really interesting ways where we're able to interact in a completely different form. So that's like super high level. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's an awesome start. Very awesome start. And have you learned anything?
Yes. So I started investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum back in 2016 and was pretty active in that space, and then started buying NFTs this year and really just got lucky. I'm active on Twitter and found a bunch of people were talking about Bored Ape Yacht Club the week of the mint. And shortly after they minted, maybe 2 or 3 days later, I bought my first Bored Ape for less than half an ETH. And pretty soon after that, I realized, I didn't look at these rarity traits. And I went like very deep down the rabbit hole of studying rarity traits for Bored Ape Yacht Club specifically. And then I bought 5 more and then kept buying and selling and flipping Bored Apes, and have used that to build up a range, both apes and dogs and gutter cats and meta heroes. And essentially more money than I made in all of crypto in 5 years in like 2 months somehow, most of it just luck in the beginning, but then really learning. My my thing was the traits. I've been really, really interested in the rarity traits of these avatar projects.
So good. What a great start. All right, Richard, your turn. Tell us a little bit about, your start in the Web3 community, what you're up to, and that'll be a good start to kick us off.
Yeah, sure. Very jealous of Morgan finding the Bored Ape Yacht Club at Mint. I came to Avatar, PFP, NFTs quite a bit later. My way in was the Bankless Substack, the newsletter and podcast. They rewarded paying subscribers of their Substack with an NFT badge. That got you access to a private Discord. That was the first time that I connected an NFT to a Discord. And then they launched the Bankless DAO, which is has a mission to get 1 billion people into crypto and to become bankless. And it's they issued a governance token, Bank, and it just started as a blank Discord with a few hundred people in it. So it was interesting to be there on day one, and now it's become an incredibly complex, decentralized, autonomous organization, split into a range of different guilds. I've been involved in the Writers Guild, so I've been helping with the Bankless DAO newsletter. From that, I started to be a bit more aware of NFTs. I started seeing people on Twitter having PFP avatars for their profile. I thought that was pretty interesting. Probably like a lot of people, the first one that I saw were the lazy lions. They seem to be everywhere. So I picked one of those up, got involved with the community, started moving around, making some plays. The next one was Crypto Dads. And then fortunately, I found that, the real blue chip is the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I didn't have the fortunate to get in there early and benefit from the price appreciation, but I'm now very attached to the mutant apes, and there's a lot of kind of spin-off communities that are around this core brand. One is called the Mutant Cartel, which I'm having a lot of fun with. Anyway, stories short. So for me, like Web3 is just a different way of interfacing with platforms. And with communities. You use your Ethereum address as your identity. You can build up like a on-chain resume of what you've been doing, how active you've been, whether you voted in different communities. And so I kind of see NFTs and social tokens, governance tokens, and DAOs all coming together. And you're seeing that with the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They're going to have a DAO and a token. Everything is coming together, and it's a very amazing place to play, to make money in, and to play a part in terms of how it develops.
This is awesome. So I think we're speaking a different language to what I understand and what most people out there understand. We've talked about bored apes, lazy lions. We're talking about mutant apes. It's all really, really new. So let's just get serious for one moment and then go back into I guess a discussion about avatars and the way people are thinking about those as either wealth creation opportunities or whether they're truly speculative or what have you. But is it all speculative right now, or are there some real world economics at play here? And is that where this evolves into? Can you give us some perspectives on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think high level, some parts of it are highly speculative, others aren't. I think what you have now is a bit of a bifurcation within the NFT world. And a lot of times people talk about this concept of like blue chip projects. And I think there is a real bifurcation going on. And there's actually been a lot of discussion on this of people much more knowledgeable than myself, but that have said, essentially, 99.9% of all NFTs that exist today will probably be worth nothing in a few years. It really is the search for the 0.1 or 0.01%. Same was true with crypto though. Like when I started buying Bitcoin and Ethereum in 2016, I also bought like 20 other cryptos. And I'm really glad I just like kept all of it, because a bunch of those like no one's ever heard of anymore, but Bitcoin and Ethereum did okay. And so I think it's looking at, some of these NFT projects that are already blue chip or becoming blue chip. Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks are two of the probably most well-known blue chip. Lazy Lion, Gutter Cat Gang, Crypto Toads. Some of these are, very close to probably getting into that status. And so I think in those areas, it has tipped and it's no longer speculative. It's an asset class. And the thing that I like about this, and makes me think about domain names a lot, or crypto a lot, is that, I like being early on this stuff. I think it's fun when everybody thinks it's all speculative and it doesn't make any sense. That's where the biggest opportunities are. It's like when I was investing in crypto and I was trying to talk to my dad about crypto in 2016, it didn't make any sense to him and he had no interest and he thought it was crazy and speculative. Now, like, Fidelity is holding seminars about it. And I'm like, bummer. Like, there is a 0% chance that Bitcoin is going to go up by 10,000%. It could double or triple, but like the 10,000% days are over. We're still in the 10,000% days with NFTs, but it's figuring out which ones are actually speculative, and it's just people kind of betting and gambling, and which ones have actually crossed over and become digital assets.
So how do we think about that, Richard? How do we know which ones are speculative versus those which have switched over to become true digital assets?
Yeah, I would say look for ones that you actually really want to belong to the community. So with Bored Ape Yacht Club, probably going to be talking about this a lot. It's the one that I'm the most bullish on. A few months ago, I thought NFTs were a joke. So I've completely changed my mind. I've gone very deep. It's not obvious where the value is, but a good place to start is, do you want to belong to, how valuable is the community for other people? So Bored Ape Yacht Club, 10,000 apes membership, and then they launched the Mutants, which is another 20,000 potential for a 30,000 cap membership. This is a global membership. This currently is the place that people want to belong to. It's running a festival in New York for the NFT conference. There's a yacht cruise next week. There's an evening event that only your NFT gives you access to. Going forward, they're going to be launching their own DAO. You're going to be able to vote on some aspects of where the community goes next. You're going to be given airdrop tokens. These will have value. And so I would look, where is the utility of the NFT? More, you can buy something because you really like the art. For me, I really like the art of the Mutants that I've bought. But it's what does it get me? Yeah. For me, like, a sense of belonging is a very important thing. And if Bored Ape Yacht Club keeps executing and people keeps thinking it's the membership that they want, it remains the top place to be, then it's going to increase in value. And I keep going back in my mind. There's only 30,000 tickets. There's going to be a real world actual clubhouse to meet up for members. There's probably going to be a bunch of these built around the world as well. And only the NFT holders, the ape holders, the mutant holders are going to get access. So I would think of it in those terms. What are the benefits? What's the utility? And for me, NFTs, it's a membership to something.
Yeah. This is the access economy, right? And I must admit, I didn't recognize this until maybe a month ago, that we're actually not necessarily talking about an avatar. We're not necessarily talking about a piece of art. We're talking about access to a broader community offering. And there's benefits of having access to what is essentially a scarce number of access tokens. Is that a fair way to coin that?
Yeah, and there's also the IP, Morgan. I think you.
That's what I was just going to say. I think a core part with Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's not true for all NFT projects, is the IP rights. There's a Bored Ape that's signed on with CAA that's going to be in movies and TV. I'm doing some stuff, I can't share all of it yet, but around IP of Bored Apes that I own or other people that I know own, that's going to be leveraging that. And so as the community, they're all connected, right? Like all the stuff that Richard's saying is spot on, right? And as that community grows and becomes more exclusive, becomes more special, the value of those apes and being able to leverage those to be able to create something commercially viable for every individual owner is possible, which hasn't existed before, right? Like if I buy, suppose I decide to buy a Picasso and I put my life savings and I buy a Picasso, I can't now generate revenue off of that Picasso. I'm not allowed to do that, right? I can't take a photo of the Mona Lisa and then print it and sell it. I mean, I could, but I'm not supposed to do that, right? This is where you actually have commercial rights. I could go to a brand, I could go to Mercedes and say, do you want to use my ape with your brand in this commercial to do this and have licensing rights on it? And I can negotiate that, and I'm allowed to do that. That's very unique. And I think that's also part of this whole Web3 ecosystem that's forming, where individual people have the ability to actually see the monetary potential of the assets they own in a completely new way.
So the segue to, I guess, I think you said there was a bored ape that's going to be used in a Hollywood movie or something along those lines.
All kinds of stuff, yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
He's going to be used in, all kinds of things, yeah.
So if people are interested in this, I encourage you to listen to the NFX. NFX is a prominent VC that invests in network effects companies. They've got a great podcast, and there's a blog post by Morgan Bella, Decentralizing Entertainment with NFTs, the inside story of Stoner Cats. Really, really cool story of how they basically, to watch the show, you had to buy an NFT. The NFT cost, 0.35 ETH, which was the equivalent at the time of $785. And that gave people the access to the content, but also gave the producers a new way to fund content creation, which is extraordinarily interesting. And then as a result of that, you get access to additional content and opportunity as part of that initial community. They sold all of the Stoner Cats NFTs initially, 100% of them. So 10,420 of them, which was 8.1 million, which is surely enough to produce an animated Hollywood film, although they clearly went through the decentralized channel. So this is not unrealistic. This is happening. This is real. The thing that I'd like to talk about a little bit is at what point do we think that there's asset appreciation in the mainstream? So we're talking about avatars here and getting access to communities. That's great. But what are some real world examples where, for example, I understand that you can apply it to real world art, gold, even property. Can we talk a little bit about some of the enterprise level examples where we think there's a use case here?
And this also, just as one example here, has already happened, which I think is interesting. A lot of people don't even know this yet, but like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks have already sold in Christie's and Sotheby's auctions, which is, there's probably no greater seal of approval that like this is now become a digital asset, right? And whether people want to call it, there's so much focus on like, is it art? And it doesn't really matter. Like people are buying, if you look at these same auctions, people are buying Rolex watches that are like, there just weren't that many of this particular type of Rolex made. And you look at that and you go, well, where's the value in that? Personally, I don't have an interest in that. And those are selling for $500,000, $600,000, some for millions. And that doesn't have any special frills attached, except I can put that in my house, maybe in a case somewhere and show it to somebody. I think you have a lot more utility with these that goes beyond art, but that's where you have like real acceptance fast that's already happened.
Richard, what are your thoughts on kind of the mainstream or enterprise use cases that we might all become more familiar with?
I think, companies will leverage NFTs everywhere. But the example that comes to head is Gary Vee. He was pretty early with his V friends, and he's holding 3 conferences that they give access to. They give access to him as well if you hold some particular tokens. They've appreciated massively. I didn't pull the trigger. I still didn't get NFTs at that time. You could buy them in a Dutch auction. They dropped down to 0.5 ETH. I was still just too early, and I don't know what they're currently at, maybe 12 ETH. They went up to maybe 20. So that's appreciation. And they drop down, but they hold value because Gary's brand is strong. He delivers. And so I think we'll see so many different companies launching something similar. It's just a better way of creating community and doing business.
And clearly what we're here to try and help people understand this a little bit further and maybe help them into the space a little bit. But just from your perspective, you mentioned that, Richard, I think you said 3 months ago, or maybe even sooner than that, or more recent than that, you didn't believe in them. So what was it? What was the tipping point? What resources were you using? How did you get more familiar and comfortable?
So just starting to buy and sell on OpenSea, using tools such as so there's IC tools, IC.tools. It was one I was using for new project. I was trying to find, because I missed out on the big Bored Ape Yacht Club and the big existing blue chip gains. I was trying to find the next one. So I was looking for which ones are dropping. That kind of a month ago there were new ones dropping maybe it still is the case, but new one, strong looking ones dropping every day. I would ape into those ones. I'd get access to the communities. I would see what is going on there, if there's anything real, if it's more than just pumping the price. And then just making a few trades, buying and selling. I think most people just naturally navigate to where the value is, where the real community is, where the art is the strongest. And for me, that's BAYC. It just has all the aspects done really, really well. Everything is executed so well. But yeah, it was just looking at what's trending on Twitter, following a lot of different accounts on Twitter, following thousands of people, and just trying to figure it out. But yeah, 3 months ago I didn't get it. I was focused on DAOs and governance tokens. So Bankless DAO I've contributed to quite a bit. Forefront is another media DAO that's kind of aggregating news around the social token space, and I was really heavily involved in that. I went really deep into that when NFTs and Bored Ape Yacht Club launched. And so social tokens are fungible tokens. It's a way of creating a community. But I just realized that NFT is the ultimate way of structuring it. It's a unique ticket. You don't need to hold a set number of tokens. You don't need to tweak the number that people need to hold to access that community when the price moves up or down. So I came to it that way. I came from social tokens into NFTs. But yeah, you just got to start buying and selling. You can't understand what it is until you make your first purchase. You got to be curious, and then you'll start to see maybe that it really is revolutionary.
So we've got a question here around some of the biggest marketplaces. So I'll drop this in here because I think it's pretty pertinent that people start doing their research. You've just said you got to start buying and selling. So dip your toe in the water. There's a bunch of really credible big marketplaces there. Morgan's dropped in OpenSea as the biggest marketplace. I think he says close to 10 billion transactions in this year alone. There's a bunch that I've just dropped in there as well. Axie Infinity Top Shot, which is pretty easy for most people to understand. Actually, you can buy and sell and trade NBA moments. Rareable digital art model creators. One of the ones that I really like the sound of, I think that is out of Europe. Not sure how to pronounce it, but it's called Serrari. At least that's how I would pronounce it in a thick Aussie accent. Fantasy football NFT collection. So it's for football lovers and enthusiasts around the globe. You basically get essentially avatars of football players, and you can bet on the outcomes of certain digital games, etc. Gaming is a big one, right? So for a long time, people have traded things within games to be able to use as a utility and get through different levels, conquer and combat and those types of things. But now you're getting to the point where they're actually tradable for currency. Can we talk a little bit about, not sure how much experience either of you have with the gaming side of this, but any knowledge that you could impart on the community would be certainly helpful here.
I mean, gaming's what brought me into Discord originally. I started using Discord maybe 6 years ago or so, because Discord's really a gaming chat platform that the crypto and NFT community got really excited about. But coming from the gaming world, I was very used to being a part of these communities through games, because essentially any game you play, especially when a studio releases a new game, especially if it's an indie studio, they would have a Discord about that, and you would join that community. And kind of like we're doing with NFTs, it's somewhat similar. Like I would find I go to GDC, the Gaming Developers Conference, every year here in San Francisco. And, I would find all these like amazing tiny studios, kind of like finding all these amazing NFTs. And then it's really like, kind of like Richard was saying, like I would join the Discord and see like, okay, what's the vibe like on the Discord? What is this community like? Would this be a fun group of people to play this game with? And so I think that you have this very unique intersection now of a platform and people and communities that have for a long time been using Discord, long before crypto and NFT discovered Discord. And now they have the ability to, like you were saying, Blake, have some ownership over these in-game items. And, Axie Infinity is probably one of the best examples of a game that's really gone mainstream. It is more popular in Asia than it is in the United States. It's wildly, wildly popular in China. They just did a new fundraising round led by Andreessen Horowitz, actually a tiny round based on their revenue, but just to be able to get some people in. Very, very small fundraising round for them, given the size of the business and the revenue they're generating. But that probably represents the forefront of this. And I think you'll start to see, there was recently a bifurcation between Epic Games and Steam, where Steam decided they're not going to use NFTs within the gaming space, and they're going to ban it from the platform, which I can happily say is a terrible move on Steam's. And I think this will age well in saying that like Steam will probably come out and apologize sometime the next year and say, oh my goodness, we were totally wrong. We missed the boat. Epic probably will eat their lunch in the process, because with games like Fortnite and other studios, games like Roblox, there is a tremendous opportunity to be able to take these in-game items that people are already buying. Fortnite's primary revenue model is skins, things that you essentially put outfits on your character that have no bearing whatsoever on the game. It's just the look. And Roblox announced a couple of weeks ago some additional features to allow people to create more personalized avatars and to be able to have ownership over both your avatar, what your avatar is wearing, the items that you have, and be able to use those interoperably within the metaverse. So you can go to Decentraland, you can go to the Sandbox, you can go to Roblox, you can go to Fortnite. If you can use those everywhere, that changes the game. And NFTs are clearly the transport mechanism for that.
Richard, anything to add there?
I haven't really been involved in the gaming aspect, but what I can see is that every major project is going to have their artwork turned into a 3D model for the metaverse. And so I kind of see all these communities ending up within the metaverse, within some kind of game where cooperation exists rather than within a Discord. So I see tokens and NFTs and DAOs and communities and gaming all coming together. Maybe that's the metaverse or something else. But gaming clearly appears to be a major aspect or the end game of where this is going. And then rather than writing on or editing a piece of content, maybe people could earn by delivering something within the game that achieves the mission. So personally not clear, but yeah, gaming definitely appears to be a major future aspect. Yeah.
We talked just very quickly about the on-selling, right? So you've got a limited number of tokens available initially, but then there's an appreciation in the value of that token, particularly where there's scarcity. What does the resale market look like? How does that happen? And which marketplaces do you use to do that? Or does it happen within the same community that you were initially involved in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, you can buy and sell within the Discord communities. But for me, OpenSea is the platform that I use to buy and sell. And as long as the community is keeps its value, keeps its it looks to be the place that people want to continue to buy into, then it will hold its value. If it has a credible roadmap that it's executing on, that also helps. But if those kind of things disappear, if the vibe in the community goes down, things can kind of go like it directly correlates to the actual value, the price of the NFT, and you can see that clearly. So yeah, Morgan, maybe something else to add.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's still very early when you look at kind of like the tokenomics associated with NFT projects.
Yeah.
And there's also a bit of controversy around talking about tokens for passive income versus utility and what kind of can and can't be said there. I think it's still early. It's interesting, when you look at some of these communities. I think the NFT, if it rises in value and gets enough mainstream attention, the Discord side of it matters a lot less. Like, I've been on the Bored Ape Yacht Club Discord since minting week, and it is just not very active. Like, I would say 90% of people probably in Bored Ape Yacht Club never go on the Discord or interact on the Discord. It has become so much bigger as a brand now. And I think that when you look at those tokens, it's just going to be associated with the brand overall. And I think that you can do trend spotting early on in the Discords, where it's like, it has to have a good Discord following, a good community in the beginning. I think Richard's spot on there. I think that once it grows into something bigger, it takes on a life of its own. And when you look at the tokens or DAOs or anything that comes from that, I think more of it will be based on how well accepted that brand is to the general public. And that's where I think, honestly, the biggest mark is like seal of approval you can get is, does this sell on Christie's or Sotheby's to a much broader market? If so, the people that are buying Bored Apes or CryptoPunks in the Christie's and Sotheby's auction probably are never going to log into the Discord, and that's okay. Like, they're going to have that value assigned to it because they see it as something much bigger. And I think the tokens will be the most valuable for those projects that have more mainstream appeal.
Yeah,
I agree. And then something to say is, obviously, with Coinbase is entering the NFT market apparently this year.
Yeah.
Is it true? I think I read like 500,000 users on OpenSea, maybe more, maybe I've made that up, but 70 million Coinbase users, I believe. So when that happens, and there's going to be so much more interest and eyeballs and access to buying these tokens, I think it's going to be a crazy last couple of months 100%. This year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what Robinhood did with crypto, right? Took a bunch of people that like didn't really know how to buy crypto, and they ended up not really buying crypto because they're buying through Robinhood, which is not actually buying the crypto, but they felt like they were buying crypto, and that's good enough to get them in the market. And with Coinbase, I think, for me, the tipping point was like, my dad went to a Fidelity seminar about Ethereum. And I was like, well, this is officially mainstream. And that's going to happen with NFTs and digital assets. It's just a much bigger market, though. I think it's a much bigger market than people think, because I don't have that many friends that collect old Rolex watches and very expensive paintings. This is leveling the playing field where everybody can now play in the digital asset space.
Yeah.
And that's big. That's very, very big.
Democratizing collectibles.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Great way to put it. Yeah.
All right. So looks like I'll just ask a couple of questions here. Firstly, either one of you can take this. Chris asks, is OpenSea like your NFT wallet?
No. So OpenSea allows you to view the NFTs in your wallet. So essentially, whether you're using MetaMask or Coinbase wallet or another wallet, you can connect that wallet to OpenSea or to Rarible or to any of these marketplaces. Essentially, these marketplaces are like a window in or a user interface to view your wallet. Just like if I have a bunch of MP3s on my computer, I can open those in iTunes, I can open those in Winamp or another player. It's still the same MP3s, they're still stored in the same folder. So your NFTs live in your wallet, usually MetaMask, that's kind of the go-to for NFTs these days. And then OpenSea or other marketplaces will allow you both to view, so you can actually see the images behind the NFTs, and transact, actually buy and sell.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, look, we are at time. It's been a momentous day and awesome session to end with. Richard, where can the crew find you and learn a little bit more about what you're up to?
Best place as always is Twitter. So just Richard Patey, Richard Patey.
Fantastic. And Morgan, where can the crew find you?
Yeah, same here. Twitter's my jam, at Morgan Linton.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for your insights today. It's obviously a very early space. You know more than most, so it's great to hear those insights and take those to the community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.